तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमा ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीन इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्व वैदिक सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक द्विप्रद सर्व भागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्व सेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगी मद गुरु मन महादना मन निस्तारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीचोत ताकरा हा नामुंचा कदाचिन मम प्रेम न हृत्कंठयो स्फुरः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनं हृदयन्तस्व भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवताम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna. So, there's only we have 4 devotees, but hopefully more will join. Okay, so we'll get started. The message went out, right? Over the class? Yes. So we are in the 7th chapter of the 3rd canto of Bhagavatam, chapter titled For Further Inquiries by Vidura, right? And then we read the questions that Vidura asked, and to understand the questions itself is the hard part. First of all, is to understand the question, and then today we'll discuss the answers, right? So, and since we had a break last week, and just review the questions because we need to understand the questions so that we can understand the answer to the questions, right? So, what are the questions, right? So, let's just read. So, from text 2. So, text 1 is basically how Maitreya Rishi he has answered. So, Vidura asked questions, and Maitreya Rishi explained everything starting from Purusha avatars, right? He gave the whole explanation. We talked of the creation. All those things were answered. And then, before Maitreya Rishi could move on to the next topic, Vidura has asked questions to actually say, like, well, wait, Don't proceed. I have questions on what you have already said, right? And then Vidura is asking this question, right? So now we'll just read text number 2. Maybe someone can read the translation, text 2. Just quickly go through the questions before we go into the answer.
Krishna. Sri Vidura said, O great Brahmana, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete spiritual whole and is unchangeable, how is he connected with the material modes of nature in their activities? If this is his pastime, how do the activities of the unchangeable takes place and exhibit qualities without the modes of nature?
Right. So 2 questions here, right? What are 2 questions? First is the Lord is described as what? Chin Matrasya. Chin Matrasya means he's completely spiritual, right? There is no trace of matter in the Lord, for sure, right? So we know this point, right? But Maya with material gunas is a Shakti of the Lord. So if you consider Maya with the 3 modes of material nature is an energy of the Lord, and the energy of the Lord is not separated from the Lord, right? How can you difference between the energy and the energetic? How can you separate heat and light from fire? They are the same. So therefore, the Lord must have material gunas. I mean, someone puts this question in front of us like, yeah, I think the Lord may have material gunas, because how is it possible, right? Because it's all coming from the Lord, right? So if the Lord has material gunas, then how can the Lord be considered as Chin Matrasya, completely spiritual? First question. Second question is the aspect. If the Lord is purely spiritual, without change, then how come in the previous chapter we read about the entire transformation of change from one aspect to other, starting from the Pradhan, then Mahatattva, then Ahankar, then in 3 modes, and then so on. So if there is a change, right, if the Lord is purely spiritual without change, it is impossible for him to have such gunas and actions, to have those actually transformations. Right? So second question is this: if the Lord is spiritual, he's unchangeable, how is it possible that all these transformations are actually taking place? Okay. Now one may say, oh, maybe this is a Leela of the Lord. Right? Maybe there's a pastime. The Lord is just doing it as a pastime. It's just, the Lord, I mean, he's not connected with any material mode, but just as a Leela, he's doing it. But the next verse, he's defeating that point. Right? So what's the next verse? Text 3. Someone can read. Translation.
Boys are enthusiastic to play with other boys or with various diversions because they are encouraged by desire. But there is no possibility of such desire of the Lord because he is self satisfied and detached from everything at all times.
So one may say, okay, Leela of the Lord. But if there's a Leela, then there has to be some motivation or some inspiration behind the Leela. And then he gives the example of children. Children, they like to play. But what is the motivation or inspiration to play? Well, one is their desire. I just want to go and enjoy, right? So desire. But does the Lord have a separate desire? The Lord is actually, particular word is used is swataha triptasya. He's completely satisfied. So how can the Lord have a desire which is actually separate from him? Desire to enjoy this kind of pastime. He's swata traptasya. He's completely satisfied. And the second point is the children may actually, one is their own desire, and second is impetus of other children. Someone else may come and say, come, play with me. It is so much fun. All right. So one may say, okay, maybe the Lord is inspired by someone else to actually do this. Right? So the second word is nivritasya anayaha. Sorry, anyataha sada. Right? So the second aspect is maybe the Lord is inspired by someone else. But is that possible? There is nothing other than the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada starts the purpose saying he's one without a second. Anything anything that we see in existence is actually an energy of the Lord, is actually from the Lord. So there is no question of anything existing separate from the Lord. So how can the Lord be inspired by someone else to do that Leela? So both those options, whether it is by his own desire or by inspiration of someone else, is not possible. So it cannot be Leela. Then again, we go back to the question, then how the Lord is Chinmatrasya, how can he do these two aspects? How can he actually, how do we see the three modes of material nature, and how does the transformation actually take place? Are you with me? Everyone understanding the question? Yeah, okay. Okay, text 4.
By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her, he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again.
So now, further to make his statement, he's actually saying, but one cannot hide the fact that the Lord does not have gunas or actions. Right? We say Atma Maya, by his own self-sheltered potency, Guna Maya, endowed with three modes. Bhagavan Ashrita Vishnu is caused to create. So yes, the creation is happening by his self-centered potency. It is by the potency of the Lord that the creation is happening, and the creation has these three modes. So we cannot hide the fact that the Lord actually, these three modes are connected to the Lord, and yet the Lord is actually, he does not have the gunas and the actions. Right? So both ways. One is the Lord, he is the cause of creation of this material world, and hence the three modes are there. But at the same time, we cannot hide the point that the Lord does not have gunas. So how do we understand this contradiction? This is just like a bewilderment to Vidura. Right? Okay, text 5. Go ahead. please.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nuisance? Hare Krishna.
So text 2, 3, 4 is about the Lord himself. Now it is about the question about Jiva. Right? The big question that everyone, they say, how did the Jiva fall into illusion? It's like a big thing. This question comes up and then everyone is like, oh, this is being discussed too many times. Can we change the topic? So the question, how is it possible? And then the explanation is given very nicely that the Jiva at no time can be separated from his consciousness. Right? No time does the Jiva get does the consciousness get extinct? That's the word that's used, right? Avilupta. It's never extinct. It is affected. No doubt it is affected by, it says here, deshataha, circumstance, kalataha, time, avastataha, situation. Right? How is it that the Jiva can be engaged in missions? See, the Jiva is pure. The consciousness can never be separated from the Jiva. It can never be extinct as such. Then how is it that the Jiva is now engaged in missions? Okay, so the $1,000,000 question. Jiva is always pure consciousness. Therefore, how is it possible for it to be covered by ignorance? Okay, and then we discussed that how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this, that Jiva whose awareness cannot be destroyed by place and time becomes associated with ignorance, right? So this is the second question. So this is a question about the Jiva. And then further, let's go text 6. To make that question more complicated,
The Lord as the Supersoul is situated in every living being's heart. Why then do the living entities' activities result in misfortune and misery?
so we already made the point. How is it possible for the Jiva, whose consciousness is never extinct, to come under ignorance? Now, further to that, okay, Jiva. Next to Jiva, who's there? Paramatma. The Lord is situated next to Jiva, right? So, and then here he says, Eva Esha, all these avastita, in all situations, the Lord is actually situated next to the Jiva. Paramatma is right there. then how is it possible that the jiva is doing certain activities that result in durbhagatvam, misfortune, and klesha, miseries? And the example is very nice. That it says that the citizen, right? The citizen, if there is the chief of police is standing right next to the citizen, then how is it possible that someone else can come and harm the citizen? I mean, if there's no police, then that's okay. Someone may come and steal something from you or harm you in some way. Okay, there's no security. That's why it happened. But if the chief of police is standing right next to you, how is it possible that you do something which actually leads to misfortune and misery, right? And then the point Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, the Lord is not like an irresponsible king. He didn't send like, okay, I'll send one of my agents and he can be with you, protecting you. No, it is the Lord himself who is known as Bhuta Brit. He's the protector, he's the maintainer of all living entities. And if the Lord is next to a jiva, how is it possible that the jiva is engaged in activities that lead to miseries and a misfortune? Okay. Okay, so, and then we'll read the text from it, and then we can discuss the answers. Okay, we don't have a list today, but anyone would like to read can go ahead. Translation.
Hare Krishna. 7 translation you want me to read? Oh, great and learned one. My mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of this nuisance, and I therefore request you to clear it up.
The mind is greatly illusion, right? Ajnana, right? And then particularly use the word kidyate. Kidyate means troubling. My mind is actually troubling me, right? Because of this ajnana sankate, distress of niscience. Therefore, paranuda. Paranuda means clear up, right? Kasmalam, illusion. Manasam, relating to the mind. Right? So we discussed this point last time, that the mind many times is troubled because of lack of knowledge. Because of ignorance, the mind is troubled. So Vidura is making a point that I am ignorant of all these topics. Hence my mind is disturbed. So you please enlighten me. Okay. So everyone got the questions? Any question on the question of Vidura?
What is the answer, bro?
Why don't you tell me what is the answer?
You are the teacher.
Okay, we'll see Maitreya Muni. He is the teacher. So let's listen from him. Okay, let's do text number 8. Start with.
Sri Sukada Goswami said, O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God conscious.
Right, so we discussed this verse also. So before going into the answer, what was the sequence? Anyone remembers? Particularly the word is what? Itam choditaha. Right? So itam. Okay. Yeah. Anyone remember the sequence? Like how was Maitreya Rishi's reaction to this question? Imagine Bhakti Vaibhav, you have all these questions. And it is not in your list, and you are asked, okay, these are the questions, give answers to them. Right? What would be your reaction?
Was he first astonished and then started answering the questions, right, Prabhuji?
Okay, there's more to that, but yes, you got that point. So first is
No.
what? Choditaha. First he's agitated. He's saying like, wow, so difficult questions. Who's the teacher? He should be fired. So first he starts off saying, this is very difficult. He says he's agitated. Choditaha. How to resolve these questions? Very difficult question. But then what did he do? Bhagavad Chittaha. He remembered the Lord. So like, oh Krishna, I can understand, but you know all the answers, Bhagavad Chitta. And third, just by the remembrance, he actually got the answer. Right? Krishna gave him the answer. This is the answer. And then fourth is, externally he was acting smayam. He was surprised. Oh, these are very difficult to resolve. But internally, he knew the answers because Krishna had given it. So Gata Smayaha, without hesitation, with confidence, he said, yes, this is the answer because Krishna has given me the answer. Right? So first is what? Agitated, choditaha. Second is remembering the Lord. Third is because he got the answer. And then fourth is he expressed surprise. Oh, this is very difficult to resolve. But he answered with confidence because he knew Krishna knows all the answers. And because of my remembrance of Krishna, Krishna has empowered me with the right knowledge. Like one of the speakers was making this point that when people ask me questions, I like to repeat the questions. Why? Because that gives me time to actually pray to Krishna and also think, what is the answer to this question? So, many times, like in the audience, like so many people are speaking in this question, and the speaker will say, oh, maybe you all have not heard the question. Let me repeat it out for you. And the person was like, actually, everyone has heard the question, but I need to pray to Krishna and get some time to think about the answer and then can answer. Right? So that way. So here, Maitreyi, by the path of Bhagavad Chittaha, by remembrance of the Lord, he got the answer and he's going to answer without hesitation. Once you get, Krishna has given you, then no hesitation. If you hesitate, how will the person who's asking the question even have that, be convinced that, okay, the answer is right? So without hesitation, okay? So he spoke with confidence, and Prabhupada in the purport talked about Yasmin Vigyate, Sarvam Egam Vigyati Bhavati. That one who actually is a devotee of the Lord. Anyone who is a devotee of Lord knows about the Lord to some knows about the Lord to some extent, and devotional service to the Lord makes him able to know everything by the grace of the Lord. Right? So how is it possible that a devotee knows everything by the grace of the Lord? I was recently hearing to this, Shyam Sundar Prabhu was narrating this, and he was saying how Prabhupada, he knew everything. He was so expert. And he was telling the story that once they were in Mayapur, and they were driving to meet Lalita Prasad. He was actually the brother of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, so very old man. Right? And they were driving in cars, so Prabhupada was sitting in front, and behind they had like Brahmananda and like three, very strong devotees. They were sitting behind. And then they came to a path, and Mayapur, like imagine at that time, 1970s. So all dirt roads, right? And then because of heavy rain, one of the roads, it had like a, water flowing underneath. And because of the heavy rain, the side of the road had actually washed away. So it was very narrow. It was not enough that the car could actually go through it. Because side of the road had washed away over that bridge, right? So, and then Shyam Sundar Prabhu was driving. And he was wondering, like, okay, how should we do this? Because they had 3-4 more kilometers to go. And then everyone looked at Prabhupada that maybe Prabhupada will give us a solution. And Prabhupada just looked at that bridge. And they just, they came and they stopped there because how do we cross? Right? And then he told, Prabhupada just looked at behind and said, okay, all of you three, get down. Right? And get down. And he told Shyam Sundar Prabhu, Shyam Sundar, go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. And he said, now put it to like a lower gear and then go full speed. And then they actually went. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu said it was just like one of those movies, like the car just like jumped and it went to the other side. And then the devotees behind, they just walked across and then sat and then they continued. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu was saying, like, who can actually, kind of, because it could be scary that the car just goes and just like, goes inside. The Prabhupada knew everything, just like backed up, they jumped over the bridge in the car and then they continued. And he's like, Prabhupada is expert in everything. And the other story he was saying is that about the Mayapur project, he was saying that how Prabhupada was in London and he had this entire vision about the Mayapur project. And he just went to his room and then he just took up like a paper and pen and he drew the entire structure of the Mayapur project. I mean, like everyone was surprised, like, Prabhupada is so expert that he did all the drawings, everything. Then he called for his architects. He said, this is what should be the temple. Now you do the architecture and all the details. The Prabhupada, like he was saying, the Prabhupada, the expert, he knows everything. And also last class I mentioned this, that someone challenged Prabhupada, right? He said, Prabhupada, how many windows are there in the Empire State Building? Right. I said, you should know everything, right? And then what is Prabhupada's answer? How much water is there in a mirage? I mean, it's like pointless. There's no mirage actually has no water. I mean, the mirage itself is like an illusion. So similarly, Prabhupada make the point that devotee knows everything that is required for the disciple and what is actually needed for propagation of Krishna consciousness. So whatever is required to know, Krishna will reveal everything. Krishna knows everything. So he'll reveal it to the devotee. But some stupid thing, why do you even care for such things? Okay. So that's that. So now we'll start with the answer. So now we'll do the Sanskrit also. Ratna Radhika is not here, so maybe those who are reading can also do the Sanskrit.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can
Yes.
I?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, okay. Text 9. Maitre Uvacha Steyam Bhagavato Maya Yanna Yena Virudyate Ishwarasya Vimuktasya Karpanya Mutabandhanam. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Maitreya said, certain conditioned souls put forward the theory that the Supreme Brahman or the personality of Godhead is overcome by illusion or Maya, and at the same time, they maintain that he is unconditioned. This is against all logic. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So this is the answer of the first question, which is the inquiry about the Ishvara. And this is the answer. What is Maitreya Rishi saying? So he says, okay, let's just see this verse. Sa iyam, such a statement that what? Bhagavataha bandhanam. Right? So he says, am I looking? Yeah. Yeah. Sa iyam, Bhagavataha. And then he says, can I use the word bandhanam somewhere? Yeah, last word, right? Okay. So he says, Maitreya Rishi is actually making the point. Sa iyam, such a statement that Bhagavataha bandhanam, that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is overcome by Maya or illusion, right? And second point, at the same time, Ishwarasya Vibhuktasya. At the same time, the Lord is Vimuktasya. He is actually free from the covering of Maya, right? He is Ishwarasya. He is actually the control of Maya. Both these statements, Yan Nayena Virudhyate, right? This is actually against all logic. What is against all logic? One statement that the Lord is overcome by Maya, and the second statement, the Lord is the controller of Maya. You cannot say both because it's like against logic. And this is the answer to the question. I mean, he's just making that they are contradictory. But where is the answer? And that's why you need Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas to explain that how this verse is actually giving the answer to question, verse number 2, 3, and 4. All the question about Jiva, about Ishvara is actually answered. And then I'm not going to that part because even I don't understand that part. Is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that this verse is also giving the answer that how Jiva is overcome by illusion. He's saying that this one verse is giving answer to all the questions that we have discussed. So the second part I'm not going to go, but we'll discuss the first part in detail, how this verse is giving the answer to the first question, right? About the Ishwar, right? So we'll go through the purport because this is a little bit in detail, philosophical, we have to understand. So through the purport, I'm going to read so you can just follow along, right? So, so Prabhupada starts the purport by saying, sometimes it appears that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is 100% spiritual, cannot be the cause of illusory potency, which covers the knowledge of the individual soul. So this is the main question, right? How the Lord is completely spiritual. Hence, he cannot be the cause of Maya because Maya is darkness. Maya is everything which is opposite of the nature of the Lord. Right? So it cannot be the same, right? So that's the first point. But factually, there is no doubt that the illusory external energy is also a part and parcel of the Lord. Right? What is the problem if you say that it is not a part of the Lord? What is the problem if you actually say that the Maya, like, Christians, they have this concept, right? They have the evil and they have the Lord and the evil, right? I think anyone else how they make these two different aspects? That anyone knows that point? How do Christians actually relate to this? Right. So anyway, this is what I've heard in the they actually say, okay, there is God and there's evil. They're two separate entities, right? So, and I'm not an expert, I've not read the Bible, but this is what I've heard. So, what is the problem with this? That if you actually say that Maya is actually not a part of the Lord.
Everything belongs to the Lord.
Yeah. So the question is, where did Maya come from? If Maya is not a part of the Lord, where did Maya come from? That means that there is an existence of someone separate to the Lord. So there is Lord and there's like a second Lord. There's a competitor to the Lord. But that cannot be. That cannot be. There is no one. Brahmaji himself has said what? Aham evasam evagre. There is no one except the Lord. So it has to be, the Maya has to be a part of the Lord. But now we still have to understand that how, if Maya is a part of the Lord, how can it have the nature opposite that of the Lord? Right? So, okay. Then Prabhupada, he explains Vyasadev's meditation. Right? He says, what is the proof? Vyasadeva, first canto, 7th chapter. What does he say? Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranahite male apashatam purusham purna maya chatad cha tad ashrayam. Right? So Vyasadeva, after that entire Narad Muni's conversation, he sits in meditation. And what does he see? He said he sees the Supreme Personality of God, the Absolute Personality of God, along with Maya. He sees the Lord along with Maya. And where is Maya? She's on the backside of the Lord. But Ashraya, she's actually under the shelter of the Lord. Right? So in Vyasa meditation, for sure, we have seen this. So we know that Maya is a part of the Lord. Okay, so that part is there. And then further, like, Vyasadeva saw, Yaya Samhoito Jivo. So we'll come to this point later in the next verse, where he says, how is the living entity bewildered? Actually, in Vyasadeva's meditation, he's already answering all the questions that Vidura has asked in this chapter. Because he says, Yaya Samhoito Jivo. The Jiva, he is actually transcendental to the three modes of material nature. Right? Atmanam trigunatmakam paropi panute nartham tat kritam chadipatyate. Right? He himself is above the three modes of material nature. Jiva is transcendental to the three modes of material nature, but because he thinks himself a product of the material nature, he actually undergoes the miseries of this material nature. Anyway, so that is the second part. Maybe we'll come back to this verse, but the first verse actually says, Bhakti Yogena Manasi. So he says that the Vyasadeva saw the Supreme Personality of God and he saw the Maya who was standing behind like a shadow and she was under the shelter of the Lord. So certainly Maya is an aspect of the Lord. Okay. But still we haven't answered our question, right? So next, okay. So why the external energy acts in this way may be considered as follows. This is analyzed by our Acharyas. Prabhupada is saying, although the material illusion energy is distinct from the spiritual energy, it is one of the many energies of the Lord. Right? Thus, the material modes of nature, mode of goodness, etc., are surely qualities of the Lord. How is it? Prabhupada is saying the three modes of material nature are qualities of the Lord. I mean, that's the whole point, right? The whole question is, how can they be the qualities of the Lord? Because there are three material modes. How can they be the quality? But Prabhupada is saying, and thus the material modes of nature are surely the qualities of the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada is making a statement based on the point that actually Maya is an energy of the Lord. It is the energy of the Lord. And Maya has these three gunas. So these three gunas are coming from the Lord. Now, how do we understand this? So let's say the mode of goodness. So what is the quality of the Lord? Sat, Chit, Anand. Right? Sat, Chit, Anand. Now we have to understand from the Sat, Chit, Anand, how do mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of illusion come? This is material, this is complete. How does these three come from these three? Okay. So actually, the mode of goodness is a perverted reflection of the feature of Ananda. Right? See, Ananda means what? Bliss or happiness. And the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say about the modes of material nature? Mode of goodness is a mode of goodness is conditioned by happiness. So that mode of happiness, which is a material, is a perverted reflection of the mode of goodness. Of Ananda, Satchidananda, right? Now, if you consider, is a reflection, right? A reflection, like you see your shadow, is a reflection a part of the origin? Like, you see your reflection, you see your shadow, right? Or a reflection of an object in water. It is because there is sun, there is a reflection, right? So though reflection or shadow may have darkness, it is present because of the sun, right? So similarly, so the point is that these three modes, so mode of goodness is a perverted reflection of Ananda. Mode of passion is a perverted reflection of what? So Ananda we have Sat or Chit. Sat or Chit. Chit. Why? Because passion means what? Unlimited desires, activity, right? But if you don't have knowledge, how will you do any activity? Right? So passion is a perverted reflection of the Chit aspect of the Lord. Right? And then ignorance is a perverted reflection of the Sat feature. That a person may be in ignorance, but his being in ignorance means he exists, right? I mean, like, it's just like the alarm rings in the morning and you want to get up. It's out of ignorance. You're like, oh, lazy. Oh, let me just sleep few more minutes. Today is Saturday. It's not Sunday. No Bhakti Vaibhav class. I can just sleep. But that ignorance is there. That ignorance is present because the ignorance is present is already telling you that the person is still there. Because the person is present, existing, there is ignorance. So hence that existential potency is actually the Sat feature. Everyone understand? Or is it like, phew, over? Does it make sense? So this is the crux of the answer. That these three modes, though they are material, they are perverted reflection of the original Satchit and Anand potency of the Lord. And a reflection is actually, it is an energy of the Lord. I mean, the energy, like if there's no sunshine, there's no question of reflection, there's no question of shadow. Right? Another example that Prabhupada gives is from our acharyas. The Prabhupada says, further in the purport, he says, they say that although the sun is all light, the clouds, the darkness, and snowfall are part and parcel of the sun. Right? Sun means what? Light. Right? Now clouds, darkness, and snowfall. If there's no sun, would you have all these three? Would you have a cloud if there's no sun? No way. It's only because of the sun, water is evaporated, it forms clouds, and then the clouds, what does it do? They cover the sun or covers us from the sun? It covers us from the sun. So the sun itself is untouched by the clouds. Right? And this is important that further Prabhupada mentioned. It is we who are covered by the cloud and we cannot see the sun. But Prabhupada makes this point. If you take a plane and it goes above the clouds, you can see the sun. Right? So Maya is an energy of the Lord, just like cloud is created because of the sun. And because of Maya, who is bewildered? The Jiva is bewildered. But is the sun bewildered? No. The Lord is never bewildered. Right? So this is the answer. This is how we are. And I mean, cloud, snow, that is a perfect example. Sun gives us heat and light. Snow, you're cold, darkness, opposite. But still, snow is caused only because of the presence of the sun. So similarly, this Maya is actually an energy of the Lord, though it has properties of opposite that of the Lord, right? But still, it is an energy of the Lord. Now, the only point here, one more point to mention, is yes, it is an energy of the Lord, but we can see how much is the connection with the Lord. Like in the sense, if you go closer to the sun, right, those sun energy or solar energy around the sun, that is closely connected with the sun. There is no question of that being separated from the sun. But the sun particles which are at a distance, they can be covered by the cloud, right? So it is how much is the energy connected to the energetic. The internal energy is always connected to the energetic. So there's no question of illusion. But the energy which is separated, which is far away, that can be covered by illusion. And jivas can be covered by illusion, but the internal energy is never covered by illusion. Right? Everyone understands? Answer? Okay. So this is the whole point here. And then if you don't understand, we always have a secret weapon. Like someone asks this question, and then he's like, how do I answer this? But we have one secret weapon. What is that? Let's see what.
Repeat the question.
Okay.
Prayers to Krishna.
Even after repeating the question, you're expected to say something. You cannot just stop it.
Then pray to Krishna. He will reveal.
Pastime. It's a pastimes. It is hard to understand. Just take like pastime.
No, it's not fast.
We have one secret weapon. What is it? Prabhu, this is Achintya.
Chinta Bhedavet, yes.
This is inconceivable. When you progress in your bhakti, you will understand.
You will understand.
Inconceivable. So we have the weapon of Achintya. So Prabhupada actually talks about Yogam Aishwaryam, right? The inconceivable Yogam Aishwaryam of the Lord in Bhagavad Gita 9.5. Right? So this is one way inconceivable how the energy, the whole aspect of Maya and the Lord. But we have understood, we have explained it to the extent that we can understand. So I hope that understanding is clear. Right? So
Just can you give a short of the just the existential, the sat and the mode of ignorance, just that is just
okay. So let's say we are in ignorance, right? You're sleeping. Like that's the example I was giving. Right? Oversleeping. That's ignorance, right? Or lazy, right? We're just being lazy and just. So is the person still there? I mean, the person has to be there to actually experience ignorance, right? If the person is not there, then there is not, I mean, where is ignorance affecting the person? So the point is ignorance is there when there is the existence of that person. And existence means what? What is the Sat potency? It is the existential potency of the Lord. So that perverted aspect of that is the ignorance aspect. Okay. Everyone good? You can proceed with this.
Prabhu, this is explained in Prabhupada or in Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur?
Which part?
Like this, the connection between mode and the perverted reflections. I mean, Krishna's qualities. Is it?
There's
Okay.
Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah.
Where, Prabhu?
Vishnu Chakravarti. That's where I got it from. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just quickly go through the rest of the purpose. So we discussed that. And then further, Prabhupada says, although life is sustained by the sun, life is also disturbed by darkness and snowfall, right, which is produced by the sun. So we discussed this point, right? And Parasya Shakti Vividaya Shurate, that everything is actually the energy of the Lord. The clouds, darkness, and snowfall can cover only a very small, insignificant portion of the sun rays. Right? So we discussed that point also. So what is the jiva in this example of sun? We
The
are
rays.
the rays, sunshine, which is separated from the Lord, and hence we can be covered by. And it's the sun rays is like minute. It's not like the energy around the sun, which is so bright. Sun rays are minute, and because it is minute, it can be covered by clouds. So the cloud is basically the avidya karma samgya, right? The covering up of pure consciousness is due to avidya karma samgya. Right?
So this is the same understanding of the Jiva fifth question, bro. The Jiva's question.
Yes,
That-
that's why so Prabhupada is making this point about Jiva here, because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually says that this verse also answers the question about Jiva. I didn't want to go there, but just to give an idea, he says how the word Ishwarasya Vimuktasya is there in this verse, the third line, actually shows how the Jiva, one way, is always Vimuktasya. He is actually always free. And this will come later, we'll elaborate on this point. But the Jiva actually can never be subjected to suffering. It's pure consciousness. There is no question of the Jiva being subjected to ignorance or suffering. Right? So that's why he says Ishwarasya. So that way the Ishwarasya there is referring to the Jiva. Because he is actually a control. He can never come under the influence. But I mean, he can never be he is. Okay, let's come to the next verse and I'll elaborate on this point. But he's actually using the word Ishwarasya Vimuktasya to actually refer that this refers to the Jiva. Okay. And then, okay, the next example Prabhupada gives is also that of the fire. Right? So the sparks of the fire can actually be separated from the fire. Right? The first spark may fall on something which is a little wet, and the quality of that fire is gone. Right? So in the infinitesimal sparks of the fire can become overpowered by the illusory effect of Maya. Right? And Prabhupada again talks of froggish philosophers. Like from the previous chapter, we talked about, Prabhupada continues that froggish philosophers in this. And then Prabhupada, in the end, he quotes this verse from the 6th canto, the last part of the purport, where it actually says, thus the demigods pray to the Supreme Lord that although his activities are very difficult to understand, they can still be understood to some extent. To some extent. How? By sincerely engaging in transcendental loving service of the Lord. So to actually understand the answers to the question, how can we understand? By sincerely engaging in devotional service. Like, I was saying that, if you just read the translation, it's like, this answers the question. He's just saying that it is illogical to say this. Where is the answer? And when our Prabhupada and Acharyas are elaborating, that is, we are understanding from a pure devotee because somehow we are connected with them through devotional service. That is the only reason we can actually understand this. Right? So hence he's actually making the point. It can be understood to some extent by those who are engaged in devotional service, who are connected to a devotee. Otherwise, it cannot be understood. Okay.
Prabhu, to this point, I just want to add, because I read this purport of VCT because I have all the books here. I couldn't get it, that mode of ignorance and this connection. I read this purport, but you explained. So
I mean, without Prabhupada, like, what can we understand, right? Acharyas. Okay. So, everyone okay? At least to some extent, are we satisfied with this answer? Okay. Now let's talk of the Jiva. Right? So next text number 10. Anyone can go ahead who's not read.
Yeah, okay. Hare Krishna. Yadarthena vinamusya humsa atma viparyayaha pratiyata upadrastuhu swashiras chedanadikaha. Translation: the living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Thanks.
I mean, this is so like a man who sees that his head is cut off. And I'll explain that. Swashiras chedana dikaha. Okay, so yad arthena, right? So it says here, arthena vina, without any purpose. Thus, without any purpose, pumsa atma viparya, the living entity, atma viparya. Viparya means what? Who is actually like, who is opposite, like viparya, against his nature, opposite. Like how we say, which is that verse? Maya jhapatiya jare, Krishna bahirbuka jiva, bhoga vancha kare, nikataste maya tare, jhapatiya dhare. Krishna bahirmukh, viparyaya. When we turn away from Krishna, right? When we turn away and accept a false identity. So Atma viparyaya means upset. Prabhupada explains word to word, upset about self-identification. We are identifying as something that we are not. Okay, so that is the key word here. And then he says, the identity, basically identity crisis. Even in material world, they say, right? When you reach your 40s, 50s, then you have an identity crisis. So here is the real identity crisis, why we are here in this world, right? So that is Atma Viparya. And then he says, Upadrishtuhu, and he gives the example. Upadrishtuhu is a superficial onlooker. Swashiraha, his own head, Cheda Nadika, cutting off. Right? So if someone's head is cut off, can he see that his head is cut off? And how will you see if your head is cut off, right? So Prabhupada gives an example in the purport. He says a teacher in school, he threatened the student that if you do your mischief, I will cut off your head and I will hang it on the wall. And then Prabhupada says, so the child could see how his head has been cut off. And then the child said, oh, no, I don't want to see my head cut off. And hence he stopped his mischief. I mean, so Prabhupada says, child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls those mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. So those who want to go against viparya, against the will of the Lord, then what happens? They are brought under the influence of the Maya Shakti of the Lord. Right? So Jiva itself, right? Okay, let me explain this example about a little bit about them, and I'll come to the point I was just going to make. So a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Okay, now first aspect, dreaming. Right? Dreaming means we have lost our real consciousness, and in our dream, we are connecting with a different person. That is our fall from the spiritual world to this material world. Our material existence is a dreamlike situation. Okay. Now, in that dream, we are seeing that the person whom we have identified with, his head is cut off. And then we are seeing that. Who is the dreamer? Who is dreaming? It is actually the original Jiva. The pure Jiva, he is actually dreaming, right? I mean, in that example, the person who's lying down, he's dreaming. In that dream, he's identifying with someone else, and then someone else's head is cut off. Right? But who's dreaming? It's a Jiva. And the Jiva, in his dreams, he's seeing that, oh, I am identifying with that person, and then that person's head is cut off. So is the Jiva's head cut off? No. So Jiva is identifying with someone else and his head is cut off, but the Jiva is able to see that. Why? Because he's separate from his dream. Right? He's separate from his dream. But does the Jiva, the person who's sleeping, experience the pain? Yes. Right? So the Jiva is pure. As such, the suffering is not happening to that Jiva, but the experience of suffering is experienced by the Jiva. You see the point? So one example, sure everyone can relate to it. Like you go to a movie. I'm not saying you should go to movies, but if someone goes to a movie, then they identify with the hero. I mean, the whole point of movies is that the aspiration of Jiva to become the controller, the master. And then you go to a movie and you see a hero, and that's why all these superheroes, they're so popular. Because it's like, I cannot do it, but if I become Spider-Man or Superman, then I can do all this, right? I can jump over walls, I can do all this, right? So you go to a movie, what are you doing? You're identifying with that character in the movie, right? And then, let's say in that movie, the hero dies. And then what happens? You start crying. If you're really in that character, I mean, it's common that people go to movie theaters or they watch a movie and while watching the movie, they're crying. I mean, why are they crying? Is it that that person is like, he may be some hero, he's casted his role, he's doing somewhere, he may be drinking, doing all nonsense, but you have identified with that hero. And because you have identified with the hero gets hurt and you are crying. Perfect example, right? Are we, as the person watching the movie, are we actually subjected to that hurt in what is happening in the movie screen? No. So Jiva as such is still pure. But the experience of suffering is still experienced by the Jiva, though it's in a dream. You understand that point? Yeah. Everyone? Okay. So that's the main point here. So Prabhupada said, actually, there is no bondage or misery for the Jiva, nor does he ever lose pure knowledge. Nor does the Jiva ever lose pure knowledge. Means what? The pure knowledge is still there with us. But what has happened? It is actually just covered. And why is it covered? Because we have identified with someone whom we are not. Right? So, and Prabhupada said, if you seriously think about our position, we can understand how we are an eternal subordinate. We are eternally subordinate to the mercy of the Supreme. Everyone is with me or you're lost?
Prabhu, remember that verse where we read that Evat Manishwari, where somebody sees the self to be the controller, master, right? So I'm kind of connecting this to that verse because, like, once we are in the pure consciousness, we are out of that, pain and suffering, out of the movie theater, and understand, no, I am not experiencing. So that verse is.
Yes. One sees the self as the master. That means he comes to his real identity. Like, oh, I am Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. I am Nitya Das of Krishna. That's my real position. So it is only because of our misidentification with our real self, we are experiencing suffering. So what is the solution? Just Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das, to understand that. And hence, that is the first teaching that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives to Sanatana Goswami. Understand who we are. That is our whole problem, is because of misidentification. And because of the misidentification, the Jiva actually has no bondage, no misery, but because of the misidentification, we have the experience of the misery. Anything else? Anyone? Is the point clear? Answering the second part of the Jiva.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you repeat the last sentence? Only because of the misidentification of the Jiva is experiencing that suffering, correct?
But the Jiva as such has no bondage on.
Right.
Right.
No connection. Yeah.
It is only because of misidentification. We misidentify and we come under Maya Shakti, and under that Maya Shakti, we experience the suffering. It's not, suffering is not directly upon us, but we are experiencing the suffering. Okay. So now Prabhupada concludes the purport and he says the best course, therefore, is surrender unto the Lord and get rid of like we are covered by the avidya, karma samgya, that Shakti. We pray to Krishna, Krishna, take away that Shakti, and then we can actually see ourselves as Mataji said, as the master. Right? Drishta evatmanishware. We see ourselves as a master. So further, like I was thinking on this point, that we are still servants. Like even now, our nature is what? To that of serve. Only thing we have changed is our master. Instead of serving Krishna, now we are serving Maya. Right? The nature of service is that, but we have changed our master. Now, since we have accepted Maya as a master, she makes us act according to the three modes of material nature. Right? So there's no actual bondage or misery for the jiva. The jiva is still pure. He has the knowledge, but the misidentification due to the influence, he experiences the suffering. That is not there. Now, further, one more example is given in next verse, text 11. Go ahead. Anyone who's not read? That's
Hare
fine.
Krishna. Yatha jale chandramasaha kampadistat krito gunah drishyate shan api drashtur atmano gunah. As the moon reflected on water appears to the seer to tremble due to being associated with the quality of water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter.
So yatha jale chandramsa. So he gives another example. What is the example? Chandra, like moon, in the water. What happens? Kampa adihi. Kampadhihi means quivering. Right? We have all seen this. When the moon is reflected on the water and then wind blows, it appears that the moon is subjected to, and the shape of the moon changes based on the waves. Like we have all seen this ripples, and because of the ripples. So that quivering nature, right? Tat kritaha, done by the water, due to the association with the quality of water. Similarly, Atma, the self, associated with matter, takes the quality of matter. Okay. So this quality, so there are two ways of understanding this example. Prabhupada, he's in this example, there are two. One is what? The moon is referring to what? In this point that we said. Similarly,
Moon is the jiva.
yeah. The moon is a jiva, and because that jiva is now in contact with matter, or the moon is in contact with water, it appears that the moon is actually changing shape. But is the moon really changing shape? No. So the jiva, as such, does not actually have a destruction of knowledge and bliss. So the question is what? The jiva never, his consciousness is never extinct. How did he come into ignorance? The point is, it still has, the jiva still has that consciousness, the pure consciousness. But because of the misidentification, he's experiencing all this, right? So he does not actually have a destruction of knowledge and bliss. It is a state of ignorance that he perceives that thing. So similarly, because the jiva is in contact with matter, he takes the quality of matter, right? Okay. So that is one example, right? Okay. So that part is clear. A jiva and the water, right? Now Prabhupada gives another example for this. And he says the moon is actually what? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moon itself, is never subjected to any quivering. Is the moon ever subject to quivering? No. You are looking at the moon in the water and you say, okay, it's going up and down, it's changing shape. You turn back, oh, moon is so beautiful. It's right there. Right? So Prabhupada compares the moon to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The reflection of the moon, or the moon rays, he compares to the jiva. It's another example, but the point is similar. So reflection of the moon on water is the jiva. The reflection appears to be quivering because it's come in contact with matter. Right? So jiva appears to be tainted by material qualities like illusion, lamentation, miseries, although the jiva is actually completely pure. So all these qualities are absent, but it appears that the jiva is going through misery, he has stomach pain, he has headache, right? All those things. But the jiva actually, is he going through all this? No. Jiva is like the moon, he's untouched, but because of connection with matter, he experiences those things. Right? Okay. And then further, Prabhupada makes another point. The light of the moon reflected on matter makes matter bright and praiseworthy. What does this mean? The light of the moon reflected on matter makes matter bright and praiseworthy. So matter itself actually has no, like if it's only matter, it's not attractive. Like you just see earth, it's like earth, water, air, fire, ether. It is when the jiva acts upon these things, he can take the earth and transform it into a nice, beautiful building. And we are like, oh, such a nice building, right? So it's because the moon and the light of the moon is reflected on matter, the matter actually appears bright. So similarly, when the jiva acts upon matter, the matter can be created into a nice, attractive things. Otherwise, the matter itself is dull, like there's no activity there. Right? That's the first point. Second point, Prabhupada says, the light of the moon on Taj Mahal is more beautiful than the same light in wilderness. Right? You see the moonlight on Taj Mahal, you're like, oh, so beautiful. But otherwise, if the moonlight is just somewhere, you may not appreciate it. What does this mean? This means that the jiva can be subjected to different modes of that illusion, different levels of illusion. Like the moonshine is on Taj Mahal. So if the jiva is in the mode of goodness, then he's not experiencing so much quivering. Right? But if the jiva is more in mode of ignorance, then he's subjected to more quivering. Right? So the illusion depends on how the consciousness of jiva is pure or contaminated. Okay, so that is it. That's the answer. We are done with the difficult part. Now is the easy part. Now is the part that we all wait for, right? So the problem, till now we have just addressed the problem. The solution is easy. What's the solution? What is the solution? We have heard this.
Devotional service.
How many times have you heard this? So first, we'll just review. So you can help me. So in the first canto, second chapter, Suta Goswami, Sarvaim Pumsam Paro Dharma Yato Bhakti Radhaksha. He confirms. Devotional service is the highest. Further, what is the next? Like, let's review the cantos chapter. So that's second chapter. Then further, Narada, Vyasadeva. Right? Narada establishes, oh Vyasadeva, all this thing you have written is Jugupsita. Right? Tadvaga Satgo Jantaga Viplo. Right? So hence write about bhakti, devotional service. That's the highest. Then next, Vyasadeva in his meditation. What does he see? Yaya Samohita Jivo, Atmanam Trigunatmakam. No, not that one. The other one. The verse after that. Anartho Pasamam Shashat Bhakti Yogam Adokshaji. Anartho Pasamam Shashat Bhakti Yogam Adokshaji. So Vyasa in the meditation also sees what? Bhakti Yoga. To Adokshaja. That is the conclusion. Then further, Parikshit Maharaj. He is a devotee. Right? We read about the qualities of Parikshit. Even from his childhood, he is worshipping the deity. Right? He is a devotee of the Lord. Right? Then further, Sukadeva Goswami, second canto, chapters 1, 2, and 3, confirming what? Devotional service. Right? Then further, Brahmaji in his creation, there also we see the Chatushloki. What does he confirm? Devotional service. Again and again and again. And then this canto, Vidura and Uddhav, right? Conversation about devotional service. Vidura Maitreya, same thing. Again and again and again, it is confirmed. Solution is bhakti to Adokshaja, bhakti to the Supreme Personality. So next two verses, we'll read about bhakti. Right? So very nice verses. So text 12. So philosophical, all that thing is now done. Yes. Go ahead, Martin.
Prabhu, just like, I'm sorry, I don't want to. Yeah, it's that like when the jiva is in the theater and he wants to come out of it, can he himself desire to come out of it? When he desires to come out of it, also, there is lots of blockages for the jiva to come out. So the Lord is being very compassionate, isn't he? Should be like helping, right? At the moment the jiva turns, let me provide, but there are always obstacles, just like how we are trying to look towards Krishna. In the bhakti we get so many obstacles. I know then Anartha Nivritti comes in stage, it's cleaning up the heart. But is the external energy working at that time, or like is this the work of Maya or Krishna at this point, when the devotee wants to come out of the dreamlike state?
So, I was thinking of one point that I heard. This is actually Devamrit Maharaj gives this excellent point about Maya. I cannot remember this. It's like a beautiful point. I'll find that. And I heard it in class. Devamrit Maharaj says that point about Maya. Very nice. I have written it somewhere. I have to search my notes, but anyway, I'll come back to it. So your answer is, so the Jiva, yes, he's conditioned here. So is he subjected? He wants to turn back to Krishna. Does Krishna help him? Certainly. Krishna is there in his heart as Paramatma. And as soon as the Jiva turns, what does he do? Brahmane Brahmite Konyo Bhagavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasad. Krishna connects him to a bona fide Guru. Right? So he's helping him within and without. Okay? Now, why, if the Jiva wants to turn to Krishna, why is so many obstacles still there? We have our anarthas and we are every day struggling with our anarthas, like, oh, again and again, year after year, same anartha is actually bothering us. Why? We want to go back to Godhead, right? So why is Maya actually making it so difficult for us? Actually, Maya is not making it difficult. Maya is trying to make our determination strong. Like Prabhupada, that famous thing is there, right? A disciple asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why is Maya so strong? What is Prabhupada's answer? It's not Maya is so strong. Your determination is weak. So Maya, by all these tests, is actually strengthening our determination so that we are like, okay, Krishna, I want only you. Not that, okay, yeah, 10% Krishna, 90% Maya. Or, 60% Krishna, 40% Maya. No. Maya is there for us to bring us to the point 100% Krishna, nothing else. Not a tinge of material. So Maya that way is helping us in our journey back home, back to God. That's why Maya, we say what? Vaishnava Devi. It's a devotee of the Lord. How can a devotee of the Lord actually, take a jiva away from the Lord? But she is actually just doing the thankless thought of, perfecting the jiva, where he does not again make the mistake of turning away from Krishna. Just like teacher, why does he give difficult exams? A good teacher will give difficult exams. Why? Because he wants the student to learn more, to come to the best of his existence. Right? So that means I have to give difficult questions next time in the exam. So, right? So the point is that just like a teacher may give difficult, so Maya is testing us, bringing us to the point where we can be the best version of us. Okay, so now let's do 12. Now it should be
Savainya Vitidamena Vasudeva Nukampaya Bhagavat Bhakti Yogena Trirodante Saniriha. But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment.
a very clear verse. So he says, serve why? What is that why? That misidentification of the jiva, that viparyeya of the jiva, how can it be removed? Vasudeva Anukampaya. Very clear. Like, why is the jiva here? Because of the Vasudev's avidya shakti. Because we are covered by the avidya shakti, we are here. How can we be removed from that covering? When the Lord actually pulls that covering away. Right? So it is only when the Lord pulls the covering away can we be free from the illusion. Right? So how? So hence the entire process is Vasudeva Anukampaya. Only by the mercy of Vasudeva can the jiva serve by that misidentification can be Tirodatte Sanahi, gradually removed. Why gradually? Because as we take up sadhana bhakti, we are gradually getting purified. The anartha nivritti is happening. So you see the word nivritti also here. Nivritti, right? So gradually that anarthas are removed. And how? Through Bhakti Yoga, linking process of devotional service, and then Nivritta Dharmena, by engagement in detachment. So we are detaching from this material world. We are connecting to Krishna through Vasudeva Anukampaya by engaging in devotional service. Right. So Vasudeva is pleased by devotional service only, and hence his mercy. Okay, so Prabhupada makes this point. The mercy of Vasudeva is realized by association with pure devotees. What does this mean? Can someone explain this? His mercy is realized by association with pure devotees of the Lord. His mercy is realized by association.
No, because I just had heard this that the gyan is there, that there is material world is a full of suffering, but we don't realize it that I am suffering. So the pure devotee makes us understand that you're suffering.
The devotee actually converts our theoretical knowledge into realization, right? So that's one point. And second point, the Lord is already present in our heart as Paramatma. And that is the mercy of the Lord, right? That is the mercy of the Lord. So the mercy of the Lord on the jiva is always there. But when we are in association of devotees, then we realize, oh, the Lord is so kind upon me. It's always there. I mean, even our existence in this material world, we are breathing oxygen, we give out carbon dioxide. Who is producing all everything that we're doing? Right? We read in the Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna says, I am the fire of digestion. Everything Krishna is doing. But by the association of devotee, we realize the mercy of Krishna. So the mercy of the Lord is realized in the association of his devotees. Okay, next verse. So, yeah, and the final sentence Prabhupada says, such association alone can, by degrees, release one from the quivering elements. Quivering, just like that moon example, quivering. So we can get free only by association of devotees. Okay. Text 13.
Okay, text 13. यतेन्द्रियो परमा अर्थ अथ द्रष्टात्मनि परे हरो विलीयन्ते तदा क्लेशः संसुप्तस्यैव कृष्णशः. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the senses are satisfied in the seer supersoul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished as after a sound sleep. Hare Krishna.
A nice example.
Very nice.
So what is the example here? Basically, like, let's say someone has some material loss. You know, I invested a lot of money in stock market and the market crashed, right? And you have this misery. Now, somehow the person goes, has a sound sleep. During the sleep, is he in misery? No. He's forgotten everything. He's gone to a different state. So the example is given, just like when you have a sound sleep, the miseries are vanquished. Similarly, when one, do something, then the miseries are completely vanquished. What is that? So when we are sound sleep, what is it? The active senses are actually suppressed. You know, at the time, seeing, hearing, all those things are suppressed when we are in sound sleep. Okay? So similarly, when our active senses, indriya, uparamaha, satiated with what? Drashta atmani, upon the seer, the super soul. So Prabhupada explains nicely, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also elaborates, that when our senses becomes fixed in the Harav, Harav is the Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what does that mean? The Lord is all attractive, right? So when our eyes are completely fixed in seeing the beauty of the Lord, right? When our ears are completely fixed in hearing the flute of the Lord, Venu, right? When our nose is smelling the fragrance of the Lord, when our skin is feeling the soft lotus feet of the Lord, when our tongue is tasting the sweetness of the Lord, and the mind is tasting the cleverness of the Lord, then there is no longer any desire to experience anything material, and hence all the sufferings ends. Right? So, like I'll just tell, on Friday we celebrated the appearance of Narottam Das Thakur, right? There's this pastime of Narottam Das Thakur where he and Srinivas Acharya, they're doing Govardhan Parikrama. And what do they hear? They hear the sound of a flute. And they're so absorbed. They're like, wow, what is this sound? We have never heard such kind of sound before. Where is it coming from? And they say, oh, it's from that cave in Giriraj Govardhan. They say, okay, let's go in that cave. So Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur are going inside the cave. As soon as they go in the cave, they get this fragrance. Such fragrance that they're like, we have never experienced this kind of fragrance before. So sound, smell. And they're so absorbed. And finally they come there and they see who? They see a cowherd boy standing right there. Right? And then just by that, so describe, just by the darshan, the eyes seeing the beauty of the Lord, nose smelling the fragrance, and ears hearing the flute. So they were like so absorbed that they fainted. They fainted. So what is that? Why is that I'm giving this example? Because all the material senses I have no longer any interest to engage in material. Just like in sleep, active senses are all suppressed. So active senses of the senses engage in material thing, that completely gets suppressed. All the mind is completely absorbed in Krishna. Or another example is this Jay and Vijay, right? The story when the four Kumaras, they see the Lord, when the Lord comes outside, right? Then they see the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? And then at the time, what happens? The famous verse where they actually smell the fragrance of the tulsi offered to the Lord. So fragrance enters their nose. They see the lotus feet of the Lord, and they are so satiated by that they're like, oh, we want to see more. And then they see the face of the Lord. And then, oh, we want to see the lotus feet of the Lord. We want to see the face of the Lord. And they're like scanning up and down, up and down, up and down, and just getting the fragrance. So the point here is when our senses are completely absorbed in the Lord. Savai manaha Krishna padara bindayo. That's why Prabhupada so often quotes this, Ambarish, right? In Ambarish Maharaj's story, what does he do? He uses his hand for cleansing the temple of the Lord. He uses his legs for walking to the Lord. He uses his nose for smelling the flowers offered to the Lord. He uses his tongue to taste Krishna Prasada. When all the senses are completely, that's why this verse says, Uparamaha, completely satiated in what? Drishta Atmani, unto the Supreme Personality, the Hari, right? If your mind is completely, then there is no question of any klesha. Any klesha. So to the extent we are absorbed in the Lord, our senses are absorbed in the Lord, then we are free from miseries of this material existence. Okay. Why? Why is this going back to the point? Because the more we are engaged in the service of the Lord, more our misidentification goes away. Right? So we are coming to a real constitutional position of service to the Lord, then there is no miseries anymore. Okay. So that is this verse. Okay, another point here is the point about why does it say Drishta Atmani? Right? Who is the Drishta?
Lord is the Drishta.
The Lord is the Drishta. Why is the Lord Drishta?
He's a seer.
He is the seer, and we are seen.
See.
So Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, he actually makes a point. It's like one of the main points that he says, that we are always the seen. The Lord is the seer. So when we come to the understanding that whatever I am doing, I am just here to be seen by the Lord, to actually give pleasure to the Lord, then we are liberated. As long as we say, I am the seer, that means I am the enjoyer. I want to see this, I want to enjoy this. That means still misidentification. But the point when we realize, actually, when I go in front of a deity, Radha Golokananda, I am there not to like, oh, today is pink dress and this flower. We appreciate the beauty, but we are there to be seen by Radha Golokananda. How can I serve you? How can I act in such a way so I can please you? That's the whole point. right? So hence the word, the Drishta Atmani. We understand the Lord is the seer, right? So our activities must be so transcendently saturated that the Lord will be kind enough to look upon us favorably and engage us in his transcendental service. Such beautiful sentence from the purport, you can see. Right? So I'll just read that again. Our activities must be so transcendentally saturated. Transcendentally saturated. All our activities are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, all transcendently saturated, all in connection with Krishna. Nothing, no other material. Then the Lord will be so kind upon us that he'll look upon, he's a seer, he'll look upon us favorably and engage us in transcendental service. Then only can the senses be satisfied completely and be no longer troubled by material attraction. Right? So this is the key to success. Param Drishva Nivartante. We need to get the higher taste of connecting all our senses with Krishna. I mean, just the one that we can relate most is what? Krishna Prasadam. You taste Krishna Prasadam, and then everything else seems like, well, no taste. I mean, this is so like practically like when people see the kind of food that devotees eat, like karmis, they see, they're like, wow, your meal? Like, sometimes after festival, like Nityananda Triyodashi, after that, I took that prasadam to work, and everyone sees and like, how many items, what variety? They've never even seen such variety before. For them, it is what? Bread, sandwich, burger. I mean, there's no variety. And when you have the taste for Krishna prasadam, no interest in anything else. Right? So similarly, all our senses, our mind has to be so transcendently saturated that no attraction to material things. Okay. Text 14. Okay, we'll just do
क्लेशसङ्क्लेशसमं विधते गुणानुवाद श्रवणं मुरारे किं वा पुनश्च चरणारविन्द परागसेवा रात्रिरात्मलब्धा. Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable conditions. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of Lord's lotus feet?
So in entire Bhagavata, we come to the conclusion Bhakti is the highest. And in Bhakti, what is the aspect that is stressed on the most in Bhagavata?
Chanting and hearing.
Hearing and chanting. We just have to hear the transcendental sound. It starts with Shravana. So here it says what? Very beautiful verse. This is one of the verses for memorization also. Ashesha Sanklesha Samam Vidate. Ashesha Sanklesha. Klesha means what? Miseries. Ashesha, unlimited sum total of all the miseries. Samam will actually go away. We'll get free from all those miseries. When what? Gunanuvada. Gunanuvada is the transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes, paraphernalia. And what we have to do? Shravanam. As soon as we hear the pastimes, the glories of the Lord, then Ashesha Sanklesha Samam Vidate. So when we are hearing this Bhagavatam so powerful that every Sunday we are spending so much time. What is happening? We don't even realize the benefit of this. But unlimited miseries are actually getting washed away just by hearing this Bhagavatam. Murare of Murari, right? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the first aspect. And the second aspect of this, so Prabhupada actually says that this is what? First aspect is actually referring to sadhana bhakti. Why? Why is this referring to sadhana bhakti? Because there is still klesh, and the klesh is getting washed away. So it's the clearing stage. So it is sadhana bhakti. Right? So just by engaging in sadhana bhakti, all our kleshas are washed. But then further, kim va punas? What to talk about those tat charanara vinda, the lotus feet of the Lord, paraga seva. Paraga seva means service to the flavorful dust, and they have ratihi. Ratihi. Right? Ratihi is attachment. So Atmalabdha. So what to talk about those who have actually gained an attraction to serve the flavorful dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So poetic. Huh? What to talk about those who have developed an attraction to serve the flavorful dust of Charanaravinda, of the lotus feet of the Lord. What to talk about those? What to talk about those? That's a question.
Can you ask it again?
So what he's saying, like, what to talk about those who have obtained an ratihi, an attraction to that. So that, I mean, hard to answer this question, but just the point that Prabhupada is explaining, that those who have this ratihi or raga to Krishna, then what happens? What to talk about those? They actually conquer Krishna. Krishna becomes controlled by those devotees who have this kind of ratihi. Right? And hence he is actually expressing his surprise. What to talk about those? If you are engaged in sadhana bhakti, unlimited miseries are washed away. Right? That is just sadhana. But if you come to that stage of raga, so the first part is sadhana, second part is raga. You come to raga, then what happens? Krishna is controlled by those devotees. Krishna becomes conquered by those devotees. Such a beautiful verse, right? So Prabhupada says that this is talking about the stages of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, and the second, the line 3 and 4 is raga bhakti. And by that raga bhakti, one can even control Lord Shri Krishna. Right? Hence, in the 10th chapter, what are the words that are used to describe Krishna? We know Bhakta Vatsala. What is Bhakta Vatsala?
Protector of the devotees.
Affectionate, Vatsalya.
Dear to devotee.
Like, more like his Lord is very dear to his devotees. So that is one, Bhakta Vatsala. Beyond that 10th canto, when we're discovering the pastime of Damodar Leela, what are the words used to describe Krishna? Bhakta Vashyata. Vash karna. You know, in Hindi we say Vash karna. Like Vash means, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know, Vash means he actually comes under the control of those devotees. And then describe for Mother Yashoda, how the Lord was controlled by the love of Mother Yashoda. Right? So this Lord is described by words like Bhakta Vashyata, and then Bhakti Badha. Why do we hear Bhakti Badha? Think. We sing it every day for 30 days.
Damodarashtakam.
Dastakam, Damodar.
Yes, Namami.
Bhakti Baddham. Yeah.
The Lord is controlled by those devotees. Bhakti Badha. Okay, so this is the section is over. So Vidura, Maitreya Rishi has given all the answers now. So we'll just take a pause here, we'll take a break, and then we'll continue. So the next section of this is Vidura. He actually expresses, wow, answers so wonderful. I don't know if you have that realization, you feel the answers so wonderful. But Vidura, he says, all my doubts are washed away. Such expert answers, right? So he actually shares his realization. That's up to text 20. So 15 to 20 is the realization. Now from 21 all onwards till 38 is all questions. I mean, you'll be amazed, like how can you think of so many questions? It's like he already gave one list before. And then he answered, Maitreya Rishi answered one question of that whole list. And then he said, okay, stop. I have a question. And then remaining questions are still unanswered. It's like, oh, okay, question answered. I asked a question on this answer. Now after this, oh, I have more questions. And a full list, he gives a whole list of questions. And then so that section we can go very quickly because it's like Prabhupada also gives very brief purpose. It's just a list of questions. And these questions are similar to the questions that Parikshit Maharaj asked in which chapter? Who remembers?
First canto itself, right?
Second canto.
Second.
For sure, because Sukdev Goswami is asking questions. But when does he ask?
What chapter? Fourth or third?
2.8. If you see 2.8, the whole chapter is almost questions. So it says that these questions that Vidura asks is, Krishna Chakri Thakur is saying, because Vidura's mind is just like Parikshit's mind, he's asking similar questions to Parikshit Maharaj. Right, and it is because Sukadeva Goswami is quoting this conversation to answer Parikshit Maharaj's question. So here also Vidura will have the similar question. So that section we can quickly go. So next 5 verses, maybe we'll go a little slowly. But then 23 onwards, we'll just rush through them up to 38. Right? Okay. So let's see any questions, any realizations, comments from this first section. Any point that you...
Probably the biggest realization was only because we are identifying ourselves with this body, that we are feeling this pain, emotions, and all that. The more we are connected with Krishna, and maybe I'll start, feeling as all of this little bit less. Yeah.
As we progress in our bhakti, that experience of the suffering will reduce. Because we are so absorbed in Krishna. The more they are absorbed in Krishna, the less we will experience that suffering. So, yeah. But the point is, like we gave that dream example, right? Person dreaming. Now he's dreaming. If you have to wake that person from dream, you can just come and put some water on him and he'll wake up. But our waking up is not like just like putting water. Our waking up, because our misidentification is so strong, even when we receive the mercy, it takes us time to wake up. Just like you're sometimes in deep sleep and someone wakes you up, but you're so deep sleep that just to wake up, it takes you so much time. So much time just to wake up. So similarly, our illusion is so strong, it takes up certain time. But Bhagavatam uses the word asu very quickly, because compared to our millions of lifetimes, it's in a moment, right? So we have that hope. So we can be hopeful that very quickly we will. And Narottam Das Thakur was saying that how he was engaged in his Nitya Leela. Nitya Seva was what? Boiling the milk to assist Champakalata Sakhi. And once in his vision, he had Srimati Radharani came and she said, like, oh, I'm so pleased with your seva. I want you to boil milk every day and assist Champakalata Mataji, because every afternoon we prepare milk sweets for Krishna. So you can assist with that. So maybe someday we have the aspiration that our eternal seva will be revealed to us. Right? So, yes. Okay. Thank you. Any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, like I was thinking some examples, like when you're mentioning the verse 12, like only by the Lord's mercy, Jiva can be out of this miserable situation. So, like if somebody is drowning in the water, in the ocean, so only outside help can help that person. The person cannot come by his own thing, Prabhuji. And for the 13, like you're mentioning about if the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord fully, then he will not feel it misery. So like we can see the example of Haridas Thakur, like when he was beaten in the 22 marketplaces, but he was not feeling any pain at all, but he was constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. That I was thinking. And then the third thing, like Krishna, he's conquered by his devotees. So like the example of all the gopis, like for that they make him dance, and then he's ready to dance for them. Like
last part, what did you say? The gopis?
Like the Krishna is sold himself. Like the gopis, they conquered by their love to Krishna. So when they say, Krishna, please dance for us, and then he is the one who is controlling everyone, but he is dancing for the pleasure of the gopis. That's really. Thank you so much.
All 3 examples. The Haridas Thakur, like later on in the Mahaprakash Leela, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows that he was actually lying on the body of Haridas Thakur, and he shows his back that he had the whip marks. Imagine, right? So the Lord actually gets conquered and he comes. And even in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? I will help that person cross across the miseries of life. I will come. I'll take him across all the problems of this material. Thank you. Wonderful points. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, one point is like Maya is making our determination strong. Yeah. So, Prabhuji, I have a couple of questions. The one point is like, so in the case of the person who is drowning, the drowning person cannot do anything himself. But in case of our sadhana bhakti, like we do so much sadhana to come out. And in case of the drowning person, the external person has to pick us up. But whereas here we do so much sadhana to come out, and at the end, Krishna has to take the Maya cover out. I'm just trying to correlate how do
Hey, the point is still valid, bro. If a person is drowning, who will come to help him?
the external person has to come.
No, external person. But when will he come? When the drowning person calls out, please help me, I'm drowning. Please help me, I'm drowning. And what is our sadhana? Our sadhana is calling out to Krishna. Krishna, I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. I have fallen into this material world. I'm drowning in this ocean. Please pick me up. Right? I Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Patita Mam Vishame Bhavamudha. I have fallen. Kripaya Topada. Please give me your mercy. Pick me up, pick me up. Sadhana is just telling Krishna, I am tired of this drowning, struggling in the waves of this world. Please pick me up. And the person who really calls out from his heart, who really wants to like call out, otherwise sometimes we are like, yes, I want help. Oh, but this wave is so nice. I can go up, I can go down. It's nice, right? And then we are enjoying the water, and then sometimes oh no, not good, not good. Oh, Krishna, please help me. Oh no, this water is nice. Oh, nice fish there, and then we see all this thing. So we are not 100% calling out, but our sadhana is basically calling out to Krishna, just like a drowning person. Like if many people are drowning, and a person comes to help, who will he help first? The person who really wants to get out. Like shouting loudly, please help, really, from his full heart, Then he said, oh, that person, he really needs my attention. Let me go and pick him up first. This example is still valid. Okay.
Sure. Thank you so much. Rohit, one another question is like, so Krishna is, we are the seen and Krishna is the seer. Like, how does he sees when the sadhana person come in front of him? Just, just out of curiosity asking.
I mean, like the point is made that even when we are doing a sadhana, we are chanting our rounds, we should meditate on how is Krishna feeling when I'm chanting. Because he's a seer, right? So even when we are doing a sadhana, we should meditate. Oh, I am calling out from Krishna. Is Krishna hearing? Is Krishna, listening to? Is this giving pleasure to Krishna? We have to, so our consciousness right now is, oh, I'm doing sadhana. I want to purify myself. As we progress in our bhakti, we'll be like, I am doing sadhana. I want to see how this is pleasing to Krishna, because he is the seer, I am the seen. So our entire sadhana bhakti is changing our consciousness from being the seer to the consciousness of we are seen, and Krishna is the seer. So that journey is actually our sadhana bhakti. That's why in japa it's actually very nice. When we are chanting, we can meditate on how is Krishna feeling? How is Krishna listening to my rounds? And then sometimes we may be like, oh, I don't feel like chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Rama, Rama. And then if we really are conscious that Krishna is listening to every syllable, then imagine how we'll chant. We really, Hare Krishna, oh Krishna, please help me, Hare Krishna, So the whole sadhana is like changing our consciousness from being the seer to that of Krishna is the seer, I am the seen. And that helps me.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other point before we take a break?
Prabhu, I have a question. I'm trying to correlate because a couple of verses down we had the dreamlike state question. And then the conclusion was when somebody is in full sound sleep, you
Hmm.
know. So I'm trying to understand, is this a, you know, so like in dreamlight state, like Prabhu, as of like if you do the, the sleep test and stuff like that, they give that it is not fully um, sleep mode, when you're dreaming, you're still aware of yourself, and in in deep sleep you're completely even unaware of time. Like sometimes we wake up, we don't know if it is morning or it is evening, it is like, so I'm trying to think that, is it connecting, like say like when we are in dream, like we are still conscious of our senses, but when we are in deep sleep we are like complete oblivion.
I mean, that point is good. That for this example, the last one that we read 2 verses back, we have to compare that to deep sleep, not the dream state. Because
Yeah.
when you are in deep sleep, then you forget everything.
Mm.
That's a good point about REM sleep, dreamlike state, and then deep sleep. That's how but that's a nice point. Yeah, thank you.
But what is the question, Mataji? I did not get that.
I mean, was it a question or a comment, Mati?
I was trying to understand that, why is he focusing on that? Why Maitreya is explaining is sleep so important, how is he relating this? So that is what is like pretty much understood. That basically when we are in extreme, like complete in deep sleep, we are completely out of our body. We don't realize, I'm cut off head, go, I don't care. Like I'm done. So
Yes.
then I'm connecting to myself more than, my surroundings, that's how.
The other point, that deep sleep, our senses are completely inactive.
Gone.
When our senses are completely absorbed in Krishna, then completely inactive in this material nature. So that
Right. I'm connected with Krishna, so no suffering, no head cut off thing.
thank you. That's fine.
I have a good reason to sleep tonight, bro. Nice sleep.
We shouldn't go into mode of ignorance, but we just sleep enough to get our body recharged, get up, and come to the concept that I am always the seen. Krishna is the seer. My entire life, even while I'm sleeping, I'm just taking that rest so that I can get back up and serve Krishna. Serve Krishna, that concept. Okay.
Prabhuji, in that analogy of the sleep, when we're sleeping, anything can happen, because it's not real. We're an illusion. It's an illusion. It's like a hallucination. It's not real. So we can see if our head's cut off while we're sleeping, we can see it, but we know that that's not real. We know that that's just an illusion. So it's the same thing. It's like, if we think that, I don't know where I'm going with this, but if we're awake to our true nature, we understand that that's just an illusion. So all the things that are happening to us here, we're experiencing birth, death, and old age and disease. We know that those things aren't, that's just an illusion. Those things don't happen to the soul.
Right.
Just like if we were sleeping and we saw our head cut off, is that a correct assessment, or am I missing something still?
That's correct. So in the sleep, when you're dreaming, the problem is we are identifying with the person in the dream, right? I mean, that's when head cut off or whatever. It's like we see someone and we're like, oh yeah, that is me. And then I'm connecting with this. I'm going here. I'm flying in the air. I'm doing this, all those things. Because we are identifying with that personality. A person from outside, he sees the person is sleeping right there. Because he's identifying with someone else in the dream, he's feeling the suffering, but he's sleeping right there. He's right there. Right? Yeah. So sometimes maybe in the sleep we are, like very disturbed and turning, and someone may come and say, wake up, what's wrong? And you say, oh, actually in my dream I saw that I missed my flight, or I was going here and this happened and I had an accident, all that. But did that really happen? No, it didn't happen. You just wake them up and say, oh, it was just a dream. God. Similarly, our whole existence here in this material world is because of us identifying with this matter, right? And hence we are experiencing the suffering of that, just like the moon on water, right? But if someone wakes us up, that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going around, what he's saying? Jeev jago, Gaura Chandra bole. Kota nidra, right? How long will you sleep in the laps of the witch called Maya? How long will you sleep in her lap? Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul. So wake up and say, oh, I am actually a servant of Krishna. That's my real position. I just need to be seen by Krishna. I need to serve Krishna. So that example is very. Did I answer your point? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So let's take a quick 5 minutes break and we'll come back at 9 and continue. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So please come back. We'll continue. We are going to discuss verse number 15. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead. These are like nice, very sweet verses, and easy to understand. So let's go on. Text number 15. Anyone who's not read, let it read. Mate, you're on. Sridhar Mate, are you saying the verse? You're on mute.
I've already read, but I was just reading it to myself.
I can read the Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead. Vasudev.
Yeah, so text 15. Vidura uvacha Sanchina samsayo mahyam tava suktasina vivu ubhiyatrapi bhagavan mano me sampradavati. Translation. Vidura said, O powerful sage, my lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So basically here, Vidura is just saying, oh, he actually addresses Maitreya Rishi as what? Bhagavan, right? So normally Bhagavan is actually a title that's normally addressed to Krishna, but in Bhagavatam we see that those pure devotees who are empowered by Krishna are also referred to as Bhagavan. Like Narada is called Bhagavan. So here he's saying that certainly you have been empowered by Krishna to give such wonderful answers, and hence he's calling, oh Bhagavan. He's saying, oh power state, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Jiva. So two questions here about Ishvara and Jiva. Now he's saying both these questions, you have actually, what you have done, samsaya, these doubts, you have actually shukta asina. By your convincing words, you have actually cut these doubts. Where do we hear about cutting doubts? With the sword of knowledge.
First and second chapter.
Sorry.
Anudhyasina yukta karma ganti nibandan chindanti kovidastasya kona kurya katharadam. By hearing these words, then our anarthas is cut off, our doubts are taken off. And Bhagavad Gita, where do we hear?
15th chapter, Prabhu.
Which one?
The Ashwal cut down with the weapon of knowledge.
Also of detachment. Yes, yes. And then also I was thinking of 7.1. Maya sakta mana parsa yogam yunjam adashrayam asangram samagram yam yatha gyashashi tatru. So, what's the word there? The word asamsayam, right? Asamsayam. Asamsayam. Yeah, samshaya. That's the same word. Doubts. So there Krishna is actually making the point that the doubts will actually be cut out by hearing. Tachrunu. Right? So similarly that doubts will be cut away, right? Anyway, so yes, so by your wonderful convincing words, my doubts have been removed, and my mind, manaha me sampradhavati, is actually entering into them. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, entering into them. Entering into whom? Into both the Jiva and the Bhagavan. It's entering into the concept of completely understanding the Jiva and Bhagavan. Yeah, like mind is completely convinced about those things. Before, because of doubts, it was not. It was separated from these, but now it is convinced both about Jiva and Bhagavan. Right? Okay. Prabhupada says the point in the purport, the science of Krishna is so subtle that even Vidura had to ask a personality like Maitreya Rishi to actually understand this. Right? So without our asking pariprashnena sevaya, we cannot actually understand this knowledge. So even Vidura had to ask these, he was confused and he had doubts and he asked and his doubts were clear. And then Prabhupada says, but the conclusive fact is he came to the conclusion of what? What was Vidura's conclusion? That eternally the Lord is the predominator and the Jiva is the predominated. Or same concept. The Lord is the seer and we are seen. Right? So that is the conclusion. Okay. Okay, text 16.
Okay, Hare Krishna, yeah.
Let me see.
Sa-
You have read, right, Mataji? I want to see. Pratna Mataji, you would like to read? I want to see anyone who's not read.
Yes, Swami. Sad Sadhva etad vyaritam vidvan namna mayanam hare abhatya partham nirmulam vishwamulam na yadvahi. O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbance to be conditioned soul have no other basis than the moment of the external energy of the Lord. Thank you.
So basically here he's saying sadhu, right? Someone gives a nice class, he says sadhu, sadhu, right? Sadhu, sadhu means, oh, good one. Like your answers are as good as they should be. You're such a sadhu. Etad vyaratam. You have answered exactly suitable to your glorious nature as a sadhu, right? And then he says, yeah, so now Vidura is saying, okay, I want to tell you I have understood. So he's actually telling the same answer in his own words to actually say that, okay, this is what I've understood. And what does he say? Na atma mayaya ayanam hare, right? So basically he's making the point that except for that maya, right? Maya ayanam, except for the maya, then what does he say? Apartham. This entire material existence is apartham and nirmulam, is without basis. What does this mean? Except for Maya, there is no meaning to this entire material world, though it actually appears factual. What does that mean? That if there was no Maya Shakti, then what is the purpose of this material world? This material world is only for those jivas who are actually bewildered by Maya, and hence he's actually making the point that na atma Maya ayanam, right? How you have accurately explained that how, except for that Maya, the root of this universe is actually insubstantial and it is actually without any roots. Nirmulam. Mula means root. Nirmulam means without any root. So without Maya, there is no substantially to this entire material world. So and then also how Prabhupada says how this Maya is actually under the energy of the Lord. Right? So Maya is under the control of the Lord. Okay, so Vidura explains the meaning that he has understood to show how his doubts have been removed in 5 verses. You have skillfully explained the achintya actions of the Lord's Maya. Right? Except for this, the cause of the universe is devoid of roots, nirmula, and it is without any substance, apartha. Right? So except for Maya, the ignorance of the jiva actually does not exist. So both in terms of this material world and the jiva is here and the material world is existing only because of the aspect of Maya, which is under the influence of the Lord. Okay, so Prabhupada says the unlawful desire to become one with the Lord, occupy the predominating post of the Lord, is the cause of the universe and cause of the jiva's bondage. Right? So unlawful desire of the jiva. Right? Desire to turn away from Krishna, enjoy separate from Krishna, that unlawful desire is the cause of this entire world and cause of our bondage. Now, 17.
यश्च मूढात्मा लोके यश्च बुद्धेः परं गतः तावुभौ सुखमेधेत क्लिश्यति अन्तरितो जनाः. Both the lowest of fools and he who is transcendental to all intelligence enjoy happiness, whereas persons between them suffer the material pangs.
Such a nice verse. It says, so now see, Vidura was actually thinking that up to this point, I was drowning in a sorrow of doubts. And hence I was in ignorance. And I was thinking that, oh, everything is good. I'm happy. Right? So he's saying that 2 classes of people who are happy. One is those who are, what's the Sanskrit? Muda tamaha. See, muda already means what? Foolish. Proper uses the word muda, rascals, right? Muda. Now it says muda tamaha, the lowest of all fools. I think the worst, the lowest of all fools, right? They loke in this world. And then who's the other one? The Buddha, the intelligent, who is actually param, he's actually transcendental. So both these kinds of people, they actually enjoy happiness, right? Enjoy happiness. So why does the Buddha enjoy happiness? One can explain? Why does it say that the Buddha enjoys happiness?
Uh, because of his ignorance, whatever he does, he thinks that is the happiness.
Okay, okay, that's good. Yeah, because of his ignorance, he is not actually aware of the miseries.
Hmm.
He's not aware of the miseries. And hence he thinks, oh yes, I'm very happy. Like, the example is given, like how we know the story of the Indra who was cursed to become a hog, right? And then Brahma actually said, oh, everything is getting messed up in the heavenly kingdoms. Where is our Indra? Maybe I should go and call him. And when Brahmaji comes to Indra and the hog body, he tells Indra in the hog body, oh, you are actually the heaven, you're the king of the Swarga Lok. Come back. And what does the Indra in the hog body say? Actually, I have my wife hog, Mrs. Hog, and the children hog, and I'm enjoying my life so nice. I get to eat stool, I get to eat this, and I'm happy so much. So, the lowest of all, he is actually thinking that he's very happy. The hog is thinking, oh, this stool is, I can't say it, but he's thinking that the stool is so tasty. And that's the nature. But one who is aware can say, oh, what a disgusting life of a hog. So the point is, as our consciousness purifies, as our consciousness grows, we realize that what state before was actually so miserable. But while we are in that state, we think we are happy. And that's the Maya trick, right? So here it's saying that those who are most Muda Tamaha, the foolish of all, like this material world, you go and tell people that actually your life is, this material world is Dukhalaya Shashvatam. And what will they tell? Say like, such a pessimistic view of life. You should go to a psychologist and learn something. See how there's so much beauty in the nature, how everything is so happy. But the beauty is, even though we have this practice Krishna, at least for me, I can say, practice bhakti for a few years. Even now, with this neophyte mentality, we can see that actually their life is suffering. Those who have not taken Krishna consciousness, their life is suffering. We can see that. They're working so hard to enjoy, and everything is going to be taken away at any moment. We can see that they are in the miseries, but they think everything is so good. Now, tomorrow I'm going to go to so-and-so restaurant, or, I'm going to do this. We're going to vacation to Hawaii, this and that. Everything is so nice. They don't see it, right? Hence the lowest of fools. They think they are enjoying. And who's the other one? Those who are transcendental, right? Those who are pure devotees. They are really enjoying. The other one is thinking in illusion his happiness, but the pure devotee is actually enjoying. So these are the two categories, right? One is the Muda Tamaha and one is the Param, the pure devotee. So both of them are thinking that they are happy. But Prabhupada makes a point. All the persons situated between them, they are the one who are actually klishati. They are the ones who are suffering. So either you're in full ignorance, you think you're happy, but actually your state is horrible. If you really realize your state is horrible. And then if you're transcendental, you're happy. But everyone in between, and hence Prabhupada says, everyone in between, they should actually inquire into the absolute truth. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. You should do your sadhana, come to the stage of Param. Otherwise, you'll be fighting. As long as you're fighting your own anarthas, it is misery. Right? But get purified. Come to the platform, then you'll be happy. Right? So why is Vidura making this point now? Because he's saying that before I was Muda Tamaha and I was thinking that I am happy. everything. I understand everything. But now I have realized, now I have become transcendental by your answers, and now I'm experiencing the happiness of the real nature. Because now all my illusion has gone away. And how all the illusion has gone away? Because of your beautiful answers where I have understood that all my miseries are due to misidentification. And hence that's all given and have come to the transcendental stage. Such beautiful words. So Vidura is saying, I came from this side of the spectrum to that side of the spectrum just by your answer. And it is a point to think about. But this point is so nice that whichever state a person is, from our perspective, from a higher perspective, it seems like such a degraded state. But in that state, that person thinks, I am happy. You ask anyone, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm happy. But actually, everyone is suffering. So anyway, so that's
Yeah,
what.
the people say like all right, but nothing is right.
Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's the point. Okay. In between, everyone else needs to inquire about the absolute truth. Okay. Next verse, 18.
Hare Krishna. Ardha abham vinichitya pratasyapi nata manaha tam chapi yushmam sacharana sevayatham haranudhe. Translation: But my dear sir, I am obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance. Although it appears real, I am confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, I'm saying, didn't we just read that word Paranude? Yeah, in text number 7, right? So it's so interesting. In text number 7 of this chapter, it said, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of omniscience, and therefore I request you to clear it up, right? The word there was used was Paranude, right? In text 7, you can see. Clear it up, right? So Vidura told Maitreya, you please Paranude, you clear it up. And now after the answer, he's using the same word, Paranude. You have cleared up all my doubts. Right? So Sanskrit is repeated here. But what is the verse further here say? Artha bhavam vinishchitya. Right? So without substance, vinishchitya, you have ascertained. You have completely, right? You have completely convinced me that actually the soul has no misfortune, right? Arthama, without substance or has no misfortune. Though I am not perceiving this, na pratitasya api, I will destroy Paranude, my lack of perception by what? Charana sevaya. Understand? So he's saying that yes, by your knowledge, now I feel like, if you have just theoretically we understand, all our suffering is due to misidentification. If we theoretically just accept that, yes, I am a servant of Krishna, does that end all our suffering? Yes or no?
No problem.
Actually, no, in the sense that theoretically we have understood, but that theoretical will become a practical realization when we actually do charana sevaya, when we serve the lotus feet of the devotees. Yes, theoretically I understand. The body is not me. I am not this body. But still, if I get the cut on my finger, I say, oh, I'm feeling so much pain. I mean, you just said you're on this body. Why are you saying it's painful? Because I don't have the realization. So as we serve the devotees, as we serve our spiritual masters, then that theoretical knowledge actually becomes realization. And then when we actually feel some external disturbance, we'll not be disturbed because our theoretical understanding has become realization. So this verse is actually saying how service to devotees converts our conviction to realizations. right? Service to devotee converts our conviction to realization. Right? So philosophically, we may be convinced, but we can actually realize it only by service to Vaishnavas. Okay? So hence here, why Vidura saying this? Thus, by service to your lotus feet, I shall actually give up all the false identification, and hence my misfortune will go away just by serving your lotus feet, O Mantre Rishi. Okay, next verse, text 19. It's nice. You're appreciating these verses? Very nice verses. Yeah. Okay. Text 19.
Text 19. Yat sevaya bhagvatah kutastasya madhudvishah ratiraso bhavet tivrah padaryor vyasan aradhana. Translation. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses.
So, what is impossible to achieve by serving the devotees? What is impossible? Nothing is impossible. Why? First, what are the two benefits of serving the devotees? One, rasa or rati, right? Or bhav bhakti, which is actually Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elaborates and says bhav bhakti, which is actually composed of what? Vibhav, anubhav, sthayi bhav, satvika bhav, vyabhichari bhav. All those things one can actually attain by service to the pure devotees, right? So all these different kinds of bhav in their varieties of shanta, dasya, etc., they all we can get. Right? That is first benefit of serving pure devotee. Second benefit is what? It actually destroys, just like Madhu Dushaha, how Krishna killed the Madhu demon. Similarly, the demon of our material existence will be destroyed by serving the pure devotees. Right? So what are two benefits by serving the pure devotees? One, our material miseries are vanquished. And second thing, we actually can taste the highest rasa in those different bhavs, in this vibhav, anubhav, satvika bhav, etc., in our original position of Krishna. All that can be attained just by serving the pure devotees. Right? So our entire philosophy is that bhakti. Where does bhakti reside? Where is bhakti?
In the heart of the bhakta.
The heart of the bhakta. By serving those devotees, then we can actually receive that bhakti. Right? So that's the point. Right? So kuta tasya, unchangeable. That means the rati rasa, attachment in different relationships, bhavet, develops. And the word tivra is used, highly ecstatic. Highly ecstatic. That is actually used to describe the bhav bhakti. Right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually says the word tivra means sharp. Sharp, why? Because the sweetness suppresses all other material or spiritual sweetness. You understand? He says that the sweetness that we experience in that higher stage of bhava bhakti, that sweetness is actually suppresses any sweetness that you can see in a material or any other lower kind of sweetness that you can get from the spiritual realm. Hence that word tivra is used. One can get the highest kind of rasa by serving the pure devotees. Okay. So these are two benefits of serving the pure devotee. Is it easy to render service to pure devotees? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
I feel it is difficult, Prabhu. First is we need to get such service, and then we should do anartha-free service. I think it is difficult.
So how will our anarthas be taken away?
By doing more service.
Our entire solution is service. Whatever is our state, we have to serve the devotees, right? And the service will take away anarthas and take us all the way to giving us prema bhakti, right? So service is the key. Now, is this service easy? Somehow we have become fortunate that we have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada. So for us to actually offer seva, we come to a temple, we clean the pots, we clean the floor, we do cook for the Lord. We are somehow engaged in service to Srila Prabhupada. All this we are doing just assisting our Guru Maharaj. That is service to our Guru or service to Srila Prabhupada. So that way everything we have to see in that light. But it is only how many people are fortunate to offer that service? How many people in North Carolina are fortunate to have the opportunity to come to the kitchen of New Goloka and come and cook for the Lord? Very few. So the next verse is actually making that point. So text 20, go ahead. Anyone who's not read? Arundhati Mati, did you? I think she read it.
Yes, yes, I can repeat
Yeah,
if everybody's turn is done. Yeah, text 20. Durapa hyalpa tapasaha seva vaikunta vartmasu yatro pagiyate nityam deva devo janardanaha. Persons whose austerity is major, whose austerity is major can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities. Thanks.
Durapa hi alpa tapasa. Durapa means he is rarely obtained. This service to pure devotees is rarely obtained. Somehow we have become so fortunate that we have come in contact with pure devotees. But what percentage of the population does not have that good fortune? We are so fortunate that we can come, just go to the temple and there are unlimited services. Okay, clean the floor, clean the pots, do this. We are serving Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee of the Lord. So Durapahi, very rarely obtained. And then here the word is used, Alpa Tapasa, whose austerity is very meager. Meager means very small. Those who have not done austerity, for them to have this opportunity is actually very, very rare. Right? Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually makes the point. It is actually not by austerity that one gets service to a pure devotee. Right? Where have we heard that, we read verses that even if you do so much austerity, that's not going to give you bhakti. So he's saying that this is just conventional. Just to make the point that how it is so rare. So conventional, the point is actually said like, oh, even those who have not done any austerity, but this austerity is actually referring to Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. Those who actually do that Sukriti in the line of Bhakti, for them, they can come in contact. But everyone else, you can do as much charity, as much austerity, all those things. If it's not in touch with Bhakti, very rarely anyone can obtain service to pure devotees. Right? And how are the pure devotees explained here? Vaikunta Vartamasu. So nice. What are the pure devotees? They are on their path back home, back to Vaikuntha. To serve these pure devotees who are on their journey back home, back to God. So this could refer to both those who are sadhakas or sadhana bhakti and those who are engaged in prema bhakti. Both of these. So it's not that one should so that's why Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually making the point that both of these, this Vaikuntha Vartmasu could refer to even those who are actually doing sadhana bhakti, right? So even those we should serve. We should come and serve those devotees, even those who are engaged in sadhana bhakti, offer service to them. And then Vaikuntha Vartmasu. And then further it actually says, what is the quality of these devotees? How do I recognize those devotees? They are actually Janardana, the controller of all living entities. Deva, the Lord of all the demigods. What are they doing? Nityam Upagiyate. These devotees are constantly glorifying the Lord, who is the Lord of all the demigods and who is the controller of all living entities. So if you find such a devotee who is always glorifying the Lord, go and offer service to him. That service is the key for your highest perfection. It will end all your miseries and then it will give you the highest result of Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, all by service. Okay. Very nice verse. Okay. And then Prabhupada in the purport, he says, the path of liberation is to serve the Mahatma. Anyone can say this verse. Prabhupada often quotes this in the lecture. The path to liberation is by serving Mahatma. Mahat Sevam. This actually comes in the 5th canto, 5th chapter, text number 2. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes. If you actually serve Mahat, then what happens? The door to liberation opens. Right? And then what is the contrast? Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. But if you actually serve those people who are actually Yoshitam, who are just attached to, woman, opposite sex, Sangi Sangam, then it is Tamo Dwaram. The door to what? Tamaha will open for you. Tamaha means hellish planets. So if you serve those people who are Mahat, the door to liberation opens. If you serve those people who are attached to women, the door to Tamaha, a hellish planets. So you can select the door, like how you have a game show. Sometimes in game show they say, this door or this door? Which door you want? One door is going to Vaikuntha, one door is going to hellish. So you select your association and that will determine which door you want to go.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, I think 9.13, 12 or 13, it says also, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devi Prakriti Mashrita.
Very nice. And also next verse, after that?
I think Satatam Kirtayanto Ma. Yeah, very famous word.
So what does Krishna say? Mahatmanas to Mam Partha Devim Prakriti. They are under the Devi Shakti. And what are they doing? Here, what this verse is, they are always upagiyate nityam, always chanting. And what does Bhagavad Gita say? Satatam kirtayanta, always chanting. Right? So same point. Satatam kirtayantama, or here upagiyate nityam. So these are devotees. How do you know a devotee? Is always glorifying the Lord. Go offer service to those devotees and you will go back home, back to God. And you will get that prema bhakti, our highest goal. Right? Okay, so that completes this section. Right? So Vidura has said that my doubts are cleared. You have explained so nicely. And then he actually said, I was thinking I was happy, but now I'm really happy. I was there in that extreme. Now I've come to this extreme. Right? So I was in Muda Tamaha, but now I've become transcendental by your explanations. Right? So that, and then service converts conviction into realization. And what are two results of offering seva? One gets free from all material misery, and second, one gets bhava bhakti or prema bhakti, and the rarity of service. So rare to obtain this kind of seva. Okay. So now, from 21 all the way till 38 is a list. And basically, even you see Prabhupada's purport, like very short, just like 2 sentences, many verses don't have purport. So that we can go very quickly through. I mean, there's not much explanation. And then that's basically this chapter. And last 3 verses are there where Vidura says, "Oh Maitreya, I'm so confident in the way you're explaining, so confident in you that I want to hear more from you." And so this chapter is almost like we can finish this whole thing in maybe half an hour or so. So we'll do that next week. Quickly go through these verses. Okay, so we'll stop here. So thank you all so much. So that will almost like bring us on. Next week we'll complete this chapter very soon. And then we'll move on to chapter 8, where we'll continue from where we stopped off before. But it's nice. I mean, the hard part of creation, that's over. But now we'll see about how Brahma is manifested from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then Brahma's prayers, how Brahma is in ignorance. And then that leads to what? Then Swayambhu Manu will come. And then Swayambhu Manu, then his sons and daughters, then all the stories start. Right? Who is the son of Swayambhu Manu? Uttanapad, Priyavrata. And then daughters, we'll read about Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti, all those wonderful pastimes. We are coming close to all those, the lineage of Swayambhu Manu. Okay. So thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So any final points, any realization everyone want to quickly share? Any points you like from this class? The last few verses, so beautiful.
Prabhuji, the text 20, you know, we always say serve the pure devotees, but it clarifies beautifully here that anybody seva vaikunta vatmasu, like anybody in the path of the bhakti, we should think that they are already there and we should serve them. That's really beautiful.
Thank you. Very nice one.
Verse 14 to
Go ahead. After you.
simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental glories of the Lord, one can achieve cessation of miserable condition.
Ashesha Sanklesha Samam Vidatti. Ashesha, unlimited Sanklesha, I believe was the. Thank you. Mataji, Arun.
Yeah, Prabhuji, by serving Lord's lotus feet, our conviction is converted to realization. I really like that.
Serving the?
Lord's lotus feet, are devotees.
Actually, devotee.
Devotees, yeah.
Devotee. The emphasis
Devotees.
is on devotee. We have to serve the devotees. And by that, our conviction.
Conviction is converted to realization. Beautiful.
Even serving the Lord's lotus feet, we have to do it through the devotees. Otherwise, what is our position? Right? So always emphasis is on devotees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other points?
Prabhu, I was just connecting verse number 20, sorry, 19, which is which is telling the results of bhakti, how it is also kleshagni, material distress, how then concentrated bliss, sandaratma visheshatma. Then 20 verses durpa, it's rarity, attainment of rarity. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is
Very nice. Very nice connection. Mataji. The first 6 qualities of devotional service. Very nice. Okay.
Text 12 about identity crisis can be solved by mercy of Godhead.
Yes. We all have an identity crisis. Normally in the world, people talk about, oh, when you reach 40, then you'll have an identity crisis. But actually, we don't realize our position in this material world means we have an identity crisis. Thank you, Vasu. Thank you for joining. Anything else in your points?
Yes, Prabhuji, like what Prabhu has said, the identity crisis, like we have seen the example of Hanumanji, like when he was crossing the Lanka, that he has forgotten his powers, like he had so many powers and he can't cross it, but then Ravan had to be there and to remind him that he had this power. So like that's so the Guru is there who is reminding us, like not this body, we are the spirit soul. Thank you.
Like, one of the purpose we read, like, the Guru will make us realize how we are the shining particle of Krishna. We are shining particles of Krishna. But right now, under the cloudy day, we are like so gloomy and we are lost. But as we progress, the Guru realizes, oh, you are the shining particle. Krishna is so glorious and you are the shining particle of Krishna. So nice. Thank you.
So isn't it that we will read ahead in that when Brahmaji, the whole stem is shining, I think that is in the 3rd canto only, that the whole stem is full of jivas, right? Was shining because there's a combined.
That is what. Was he telling you, Avash, don't make he's telling you don't make sound. Anyway, so yes, Mataji, yeah. Like that is true that along the stem of the lotus, all the jivas are actually situated because the 14 planetary systems is along the stem of the lotus, and based on the position the jiva is, he is in that position in that lotus stem. So
I think we will read now only, Prabhu, that 3rd canto.
yeah, I mean Brahma's birth, yeah. I mean that. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Prabhuji, continues this point. Actually, everybody says all the points mostly, but they again same thing, like we have to like serving the pure devotee is the main with confidence, not like artificially or show up like that. That is the main thing. With pure heart, then we can give up our false ego and whatever false we are doing. And another thing is, everybody has seed is there, but we want everybody needs like a guru, pure devotee, so that seed, whatever I mean in like weeds are there and whatever, so it will go and bhakti will grow up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So anything else? We'll end here. Thank you all so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you all so much for your association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad
Thank
pranam.
you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Ji. Thank you so much.
I would do one class for this also. He desperately wants to hear from you.